all kind of gore that you could possibly, like fingernails, like ripping from people, like, oh God. And I remember I was kind of fine about it, and then my mum picked me up and she was just like, what? They let you watch that? And like, it suddenly came crashing down on me that I was like I was ruined and I'd never sleep again. And I became traumatized for like a year. And I remember not being able to like watch any horror films since then. And I was like the lame kid in like year 7, like 13, that would go to like a scary movie sleepover and like sit in the other room because I could not do it.
Oh, those kids were the worst.
I was that kid.
You were the worst.
I was the worst kid. But like I could not sleep. It was like, so that's like, it severely scarred me, and now I'm on Fear the Walking Dead.
Your mother's really the one that traumatized you, though. It sounds like the movie was fine.
The movie kind of didn't affect me.
No, you're scared.
Yeah,
get scared, and you like lost it.
And I think it was because, she was like, that's, the worst, that was banned in the United States at one point, and I think she was referring to the 70s version.
Referring to the 70s version, yes.
Anyway, so that's my story.
So at 18 years old, you leave Australia. You have tunnel vision. I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to be an actress.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Was there anyone trying to stop you, or was there just full faith in your ability to do that?
It didn't come out of the blue. My parents had sort of expected it for a little bit. It wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm going to be an actor. And they were like, whoa, let's have a think about this. I've been doing it since I was young.
Too late, bought the bus ticket, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to fulfill my dreams. But they were supportive, but I look back on it now and I don't really know how I did it. Because I did find myself in awkward situations. Like I didn't have a car, I didn't drive, I didn't know anyone. Like I was sort of making friends along the way, and like a lot of those...
The people on the bus? What were you doing?
Yeah, I took the bus for a year the first time I was out in LA. So it was and like staying with weird, like different people and on couches of friends, it was a very unique experience. But now, when in the time, like it was the only choice I had. It was just that or nothing. That was it. So I just did it. But yeah, looking back on it, there was some moments.
Did you find that you had been acting since you were 8, right? So you'd had the audition process a little bit in Australia. Did you find the LA process was different? Was it more grueling?
People warned me about it for a long time, and I got there, and for me, it didn't really change. I think if you go in with the same principles, then it shouldn't change that much. I think there's a difference in hype and hustle in the United States. There's like a kind of a grind that really happens. And if they're interested in you, you see it straight away and you start seeing the results immediately. Like the next day you'll get a call. Whereas in Australia, it's like weeks past and you're like, hey, did you ever like watch that tape? And they're like, oh yeah, well the director kind of pulled out and it's not happening anymore. And so it's a different type of...
I feel like that happens here too.
It does, but there's so many more opportunities. There's so much more to fill in the gaps anyway. Yeah, so not really. But again, I was just tunnel vision. Like it didn't even matter. It was just, to me, it was just like, all right, on to the next one.
And what was the show that you were on just before Fear the Walking Dead? The 100, was it called the 100?
The 100, yeah.
The 100, excuse me.
I keep saying the 100 too, and then I got like a little, it's the 100. I still can't get it right.
Did that show end and now it's just Fear the Walking Dead, or are you doing both of those shows
No, I'm doing
right now?
both, and I'm going back to the 100.
Is that difficult? Is that a grueling schedule?
It is a grueling schedule. In fact, it's quite different. Fear the Walking Dead was very structured, and it's also based more in the real world. There weren't as many kind of stunts or, you're still in like regular clothes, whereas the 100, it's like, here's your warrior getup, and here's your weapons, and this is a horse that you're going to be riding. And so it's a little bit more
Does this get you into the sort of fantasy horror world a little bit more, or is this kind of a job for you? You go and you love playing the part, but then you go home and you have your own interests that aren't necessarily fantasy or horror? I
actually love fantasy. Like, I love Game of Thrones, and I kind of love, yeah. and like, I'm a big fan of the fantasy genre. But yeah, well, I think it is like when I go to work, it's funny, like if you're on location, it does permeate your lifestyle more than when you're at home, because you're kind of in the same city with the cast and crew, and you hang out more, and you're invested in it more because it becomes your location. But it also it became something I didn't expect it to. On set, it's so much more lively and fun. Like everyone's having a good time because I guess the context and the actual the treatment of the scripts are so gross and gory and intense. So it's actually kind of a nice balance. So it's not too jarring. But no, I definitely horror is not my primary.
Not your primary genre?
Genre, no.
Where
but I do love it. Now I'm on this show. I mean, I love this.
Have you had the chance to kill a walker yet?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Well, I mean, as an actress, as an actress, have you gotten the chance to get a little physical?
Yes.
Is that fun?
Yeah, I love doing stunts. I bruise really easily though, so it looks like I've always been in.
They're pulling makeup artists over all the time. You're like, gotta take care of these.
Yeah, like I there was one thing where I was doing a stunt and I just got bruised all over my legs, and I had the producer come up and be like, "Is everything okay? Like, are you?" And I was like, "No, it just looks really bad, but I'm fine."
What is it like for you with fans of the Fear the Walking Dead? Were you at Comic-Con with it?
Yeah, I did.
What was that like for you?
Well, it was. I mean, it's an amazing event and like really surreal. It was kind of easier for us because no one knew the show and no one knew who we were, and so we did the Hall H panel, and we were between Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and it was like in the middle, everyone just had to sit and watch us, like forced to stay. And everyone was so lovely and patient and generous with us. But it was nice because we kind of took a backseat and we could just be observant and see how they were responding to what they saw and the material. And so it's a nice position to be in. I've been warned by the Walking Dead cast and many people that next year if we go, it might be a little bit different. But
in what way? What were their warnings?
Well, they were like, you probably won't be able to walk around. So I don't know. I mean,
right.
It depends if people like this or not.
You could kind of mingle a little bit and sort of, or at least kind of hide.
Yeah, like, well, we were able to, normally they shuttle you between each event or each kind of part of your schedule in a car, but we luckily a few times got to walk around just the city, which was awesome, and like see everyone actually dressed up and like see what the event things on the street were, and that was great.
Does it just blow your mind?
It's insane.
I've never been to Comic-Con, but I see pictures and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if my brain could handle that much.
Like, so confusing too. Like there was I remember we were like on a rooftop somewhere. I was looking down. It was like the stormtroopers were having some kind of protest march against Darth Vader, and I didn't understand like kind of why it was going on. But they had like
I don't
signs
understand why
and
it would be going
everything.
on either.
And I was like, wait, what are you protesting?